Good morning. This is the day the Lord has made, so let us rejoice and be glad in it. I am Pastor Marianne Kellenbach, pastor at Living Faith Church, which is located in the community of tradition in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And today is Thursday, March the 14th, 2021, the creation of a brand new day. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. We're taking a look over the next couple of weeks, along with last week, at the first creation story that we find in the Bible, in the book of Genesis. Remember, it's poetry. Remember, there are two creation stories. The one that we're looking at, that most people are familiar with, although some people do confuse the two stories. They kind of put them together. But we are looking at the very first story. So we are on day 3. I'm going to read for you from the translation that Eugene Peterson has translated from the Hebrew, and his translation is called The Message. So close your eyes and imagine this. God spoke. Separate water beneath heaven, gather into one place. Land, appear. And there it was. God named the land earth. He named the pooled water ocean. God saw that it was good. God spoke. Earth, green up. Grow all varieties of seed-bearing plants, every sort of fruit-bearing tree. And there it was. Earth produced green seed-bearing plants, all varieties, and fruit-bearing trees of all sorts. God saw that it was good. It was evening. It was morning. Day 3. We talked earlier this week about that beginning part, the separation of the water into aggregated together into what we know now as ocean, and that the place where the water wasn't we now call land or earth. You could say that name also. And today we hear about how God spoke into being vegetation, not just vegetation, but notice it's seed-bearing plants, seed-bearing trees, seed-bearing. So that God knew, in God's infinite wisdom, in God's greatness, the importance of the regeneration and the recreation that would continue on and on and on. So that the earth, through this gift of life, could give humans who aren't yet created, but who could replenish these flowers and replenish these trees and the fruit that would come from these trees, and also the flowers. When I was a kid, we had these spider plants right up our front walk, and my mother loved them. They looked like creatures, they were weird looking, very tall, and they were just, if you know what a spider plant looks like, their seeds would pop up along the side, and we would, when we were kids, we'd walk up along the sidewalk and grab the pods that had the seeds in them, break them open, and drop them along the walkway, so that by the time the end of summer came, there were so many of these, and they would come back year after year after year. And I think that's probably the first time I really understood that reproducing of this plant, this very odd looking plant. My mom used to say, God has a sense of humor. Look at this thing. And we used to, actually, she started to do it too. Just take it, crush it, and there would be an entire walkway filled with these spider plants. Think about the Easter lilies and your Easter lily. You plant one Easter lily, and the next thing you know, there's nothing but another Easter lily, the original one, and maybe 2 or 3 others that pop up the following year, and then the following year, and the following year, even more and more and more. This is God's ingenious plan. And how about the fruit bearing the seed right in the fruit. We can think of the peach, right? We have the peach pit that contains the seed. For me, I love apples. And so when we cut an apple open to eat the meat of the apple, right there in the middle of that apple is where we are going to find the seed, right? We use this, we talk about the fact that the seed reproduces so that there's more and more and more fruit. And isn't that the purpose? There's more trees and there's more fruit. Isn't that the purpose also, not just to feed us, but to be able to reproduce? Think about it. From this one seed comes an entire tree, and on that entire tree grows an abundance of apples, of fruit. So the Lord provided for this earth, for the land, for the vegetation that had been produced, for it to continue on and on and on. God spoke, and the very first trees and the very first plants came into being. So what you are holding in your hand, when you hold an apple or you hold a flower, comes from the very first calling of God into creation. As you go through this day, may you take the time to see all of the fruit trees, the citrus, and the plants, and to recognize that they are the ancestors of the very first plant and seed-bearing tree that was called into creation by our Lord. Amen, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.